George Russell is winning, and still might lose everything. Because right now, Mercedes is dominating the start of 2026. Australia, controlled. China, unstoppable. And just days before Japan, everything looks perfect. But behind that success, Toto Wolff is preparing a move that could end Russell's position completely. Not because he's failing. Because someone better might become available. Max Verstappen. And here's what makes this dangerous. Verstappen is locked into a contract until 2028. That's what everyone believes. But hidden inside that deal are performance clauses, exit triggers, timing windows, opportunities that can activate if Red Bull starts to struggle. And early signs suggest that pressure is already building. Now combine that with something almost nobody noticed. A rare gap in the calendar right now. No races. No spotlight. Just time for private meetings, and decisions that won't be announced until it's too late. And Mercedes has done this before. Quietly. Strategically. Toto Wolff has already admitted he regrets missing Verstappen once. He won't make that mistake again. Which means this isn't a rumor. This is a plan. A long-term move targeting 2027, where everything aligns. Contracts. Performance. Opportunity. And if that moment comes, there is only one seat available. So the real question isn't whether Russell is performing. He is. The real question is, can performance alone save him? Or has this already been decided behind the scenes? Subscribe now, because the final piece of this story changes everything. Mercedes didn't just start strong this season. They sent a warning. Australia looked controlled. Clean execution. No pressure. China confirmed something even bigger. This wasn't luck. This wasn't timing. This was dominance. Russell stepped into the role perfectly. Calm on the radio. Precise on track. No wasted movement. The kind of performance that tells a team, we're safe. But here's the problem. Mercedes isn't looking for safe. They're looking for control. And those are two very different things. Because when a team dominates at the start of a new era, they're not thinking about the next race. They're thinking about the next cycle. The next regulation window. The next championship run. The next driver who defines everything. And that's where Russell's situation starts to shift. Because on paper, he's doing everything right. Winning. Leading. Delivering. But inside Mercedes, there's a different question being asked. Not, is Russell good enough? But, is he the best possible option for what comes next? And that question is dangerous. Because it doesn't depend on Russell. It depends on who becomes available. And right now, there is only one name that matters. Max Verstappen. Now here's where things become uncomfortable. Because Mercedes already has a winning car. They already have a working lineup. So this isn't about fixing a problem. It's about upgrading an advantage. And when a team starts thinking like that, someone always pays the price. This is where most people misunderstand the situation. They think Russell is competing against other drivers. He's not. He's being compared to a scenario. A future where Verstappen is in that seat. And suddenly, good isn't enough. Winning isn't enough. Even leading the team isn't enough. Because the benchmark changes completely. And here's the detail that makes this even more intense. Toto Wolff has already shown interest in Verstappen for years. This isn't new. This isn't reactive. This is unfinished business. And when something like that stays unresolved, it doesn't disappear. It waits. For the right moment. And that moment might be forming right now. Because while Mercedes is rising, Red Bull is entering uncertainty. New engine project. New structure. New pressure. And Verstappen is watching all of it. Carefully. Because his loyalty has always been conditional. Win, and he stays. Struggle, and everything changes. And that creates a situation where Russell's future is no longer in his hands. Because even if he wins again in Japan, even if he extends this dominance, there is still a bigger question hanging over him. What happens if Verstappen becomes available? And once that question exists, it doesn't go away. It grows. Race after race. Result after result. Until eventually, Mercedes has to make a decision. And that decision won't be emotional. It will be strategic, cold, calculated, and focused on one thing only. Who gives them the highest probability of controlling Formula One for the next era? And that's where everything begins to fall apart. Because for the first time this season, Russell isn't just racing the grid. He's racing time. And time is not on his side. Red Bull is not collapsing. But it's no longer untouchable. And in Formula One, that's all it takes. Because dominance doesn't disappear overnight. It cracks. Small signs. Subtle changes. Things most people ignore. But drivers like Verstappen don't ignore them. They feel them early. And right now, those signals are starting to appear. The car isn't as comfortable. The balance isn't as predictable. The confidence isn't as absolute. Nothing dramatic. But enough. Enough to create doubt. And doubt is where everything begins. Because Verstappen doesn't wait for failure. He anticipates it. He reads the direction of a project. And more importantly, he reads risk. Now add something even bigger to this picture. Red Bull's new power unit. Their biggest gamble. Their biggest ambition. And potentially, their biggest weakness. Because building your own engine isn't just difficult. It's unpredictable. If it works, they dominate again. If it doesn't, they fall behind instantly. No transition. No gradual decline. Just a gap. And for a driver like Verstappen, that's unacceptable. Because his entire career is built on one principle. Win or move. And his own environment has made that clear. He stays where he can win. Nothing else matters. Not history. Not loyalty. Not comfort. Only performance. Now connect that to Mercedes. A team that has just proven they might already understand this new era better than anyone. 2 races. 2 dominant results. A car that works. A structure that feels stable. And most importantly, a future that looks predictable. That combination is dangerous. Because when a top driver sees stability in one place, and uncertainty in another, the decision starts forming long before it's visible. And this is where Russell's situation becomes critical. Because this isn't just about Verstappen leaving Red Bull. It's about where he would go. And there is only one destination that makes sense. Mercedes. Now imagine that scenario from inside the team. You are Toto Wolff. You have a fast car, a strong lineup, momentum. And suddenly, the best driver in the world becomes available. What do? You don't hesitate. You don't wait. You act. Because opportunities like that don't come twice. And Wolff knows that better than anyone. He already missed Verstappen once. He said it himself. That mistake shaped everything that came after. So this time, it's different. This time, he's ready. And that creates a situation Russell cannot control. Because no matter how well he performs, he cannot outperform a decision like that. He cannot compete with a long-term vision. He cannot stop a strategic move designed to dominate the next era. And this is where the pressure becomes real. Because from the outside, nothing has changed. Russell is still leading. Still winning. Still the face of Mercedes. But internally, there is a shadow. A possibility growing with every race. And once that possibility becomes realistic, everything shifts. Priorities change. Discussions change. Evaluations change. And suddenly, Russell is no longer the future. He's the present. And in Formula One, the present is always temporary. Which leads to the most important moment of all. The point where speculation becomes action. Because there is a specific time in every season where decisions like this stop being ideas and start becoming real. Every Formula One season has a moment like this. You don't see it on track. You don't hear it on the radio. But it's the moment where everything changes. Where decisions stop being ideas and start becoming real. And that moment is getting closer. Because there's a pattern in this sport. A very specific window. It doesn't happen at the beginning of the season. It doesn't happen at the end. It builds quietly and peaks in the middle. Around the summer break. That's where contracts are evaluated. Clauses are triggered. Future lineups are decided. Not publicly. Privately. And right now, we are entering the early stage of that process. This is where conversations begin. Careful. Controlled. Invisible. Because no team wants chaos. No team wants headlines before they're ready. And Mercedes learned that the hard way. The last time they pushed for Verstappen, it created tension, noise, disruption inside the team. So this time, everything is different. No leaks. No pressure. No obvious moves. Just silence. And that silence is not empty. It's preparation. Because if Verstappen becomes available, Mercedes needs to be ready before anyone else even reacts. That means discussions are already happening. Not official. Not signed. But explored. What would it take? When would it happen? How would the lineup change? And most importantly, who stays and who goes? Now bring this back to Russell. Because this is where his situation becomes critical. While he's focused on Japan, focused on performance, the real decision timeline is moving independently. It doesn't wait for his results. It doesn't pause for his victories. It follows its own logic. Contracts, clauses, opportunity. And if those elements align, everything can change in a matter of weeks. Not gradually. Instantly. That's how Formula One works at this level. One day you are the future of a team. The next, you are the piece that gets replaced. Not because you failed. Because something better became available. And that's the brutal reality Russell is facing. Now here's the final layer most people miss. Even if Mercedes decides to go for Verstappen, they won't announce it immediately. They can't. Because legally, everything has to be secure. If they move too early, they risk a contract dispute. A situation where governing bodies step in and decide who owns the driver. And no team wants that. So what happens instead? The deal is built in silence. Step by step, clause by clause, until there is zero risk. And only then, it becomes public. Suddenly. Unexpectedly. And by that point, it's already done. Which means something very important. If this plan is real, if Verstappen is even considering the move, then the decision will be made long before fans ever hear about it. Long before headlines appear. Long before Russell can react. And that's what makes this moment so important. Because right now, we are not watching the decision. We are watching the build-up. The quiet phase. The invisible part of the story. And once that phase ends, everything will happen very fast. So when the summer arrives, when rumors suddenly become confirmed, it won't be the beginning. It will be the reveal of something that started right now, in this exact moment. And the only question left is this. When that reveal finally comes, will George Russell still have a place in Mercedes? Or will he realize he was already out of the plan weeks ago?